The other day, a devotee was writing to me, and he was telling me his challenges and explaining why he has these challenges. The way he was explaining his challenges sounded like he was kind of rationalizing his weakness, which I don't think he realized he was doing. So I wrote him back and I said, yes, you have challenges, but the challenges you have, we all have. But the difference between someone who's successful and someone who isn't is that the unsuccessful person rationalizes the challenges, and that means he just explains why he is weak, why the weakness is there, why it's remaining there, and why he's having difficulty dealing with it. And the person who's successful in Krishna consciousness, but really successful in anything, looks at the challenges and then creates a strategy to deal with them. He doesn't give in to them. He recognizes the challenges are difficult. He recognizes his own weakness, and then he decides, okay, in this situation, what am I going to do to make this successful? Now, let's look at material life. For many of us who would make these excuses in Krishna consciousness, we went to school or we work, and we had all kinds of challenges. We had difficult professors, difficult classes, difficult schedules. Some of you may have gone to college and worked, but you were intent on being successful. So although it was difficult, you always came to the point where you would make a strategy. How am I going to deal with this? Not that you would say, oh, it's too difficult, I can't do it, and make an excuse why you're going to fail your class. You wouldn't do that because you didn't want to fail your class. It would be very easy to fail. You could easily do it, right? Wouldn't take any effort. But you didn't want to do that. So you look at the situation, you think, okay, how am I going to do this? Just like recently, my daughter had to take a statistics class, and math is not easy for her, was not easy for me either. And she was very much in anxiety because she found statistics extremely difficult. And she has a straight A average, and she didn't want a lower average. She's looking into getting into some good colleges, and she wanted to have this straight A average. And she was thinking, oh no, this class, I don't know how I'm gonna do in this class. And it was summer school, so it was a 12-week class, and she had it in 6. So whatever she was learning, just compacted. So she studied hard. She got a tutor. She met a tutor like 2-3 days a week, and she just worked it. And she'd always say, this is hard, it's difficult, I'm not good in math, etc., etc. But she just worked it. She did it. She applied herself. And on her final exam, she didn't know how she did. She thought she did okay. Out of 150 questions, she got 149 questions right. That's amazing. But it shows that even though math is not her forte, because she was determined to succeed in university and get all A's, she just put in the effort. She didn't focus on the excuse. So I think you've done that in many areas of your life. But somehow or other, when it comes to spiritual life, we tend to focus on the excuses, tend to focus on the weaknesses. And that's a huge mistake, because then we're giving into this idea, well, just the way I am. Yeah, I know. It's just the way I am also. Don't think it's just the way you are. It's just the way we all are. We're all conditioned souls. We all have material bodies. We all have minds. We all have tongues. We all have bellies, genitals. We're all in the same position. Don't think that it's easier for someone else. It may be easier, but it's not easy for anybody. So when you have these difficult situations, I don't like to chant, haven't had a taste, it's hard to make the effort. Okay, fine. We all run into that. But the point is, what are you going to do now? Now that you confronted that reality, what are you going to do about it? Just talk about it, how hard it is, and continually chant poorly. So hard to get up in the early morning, I'm a late night person, etc., etc. Okay, all right. But it's important to get up early. So the question is, what am I going to do about it? There's a little technique that I learned. A devotee shared this with me. He said, often when we look at a situation that's difficult, we say, I like to get up early, but, and after the word but comes the reason we can't do it. We don't want that reason. We already know the reason. Might sound like a valid reason, but if you want to get up, you don't want the but. So he said, Instead of using the word but, use the word and. Because I know it will sound like this. It's really difficult for me to get up early, and the and is not an excuse. The and is, what am I going to do about it? And I've decided to go to bed earlier, or I've decided to get 47 alarm clocks, or I have decided that I won't eat anything after 2 o'clock. Whatever it is, or I decided to take these vitamins. It makes it much easier to get up in the morning. So it's interesting, isn't it? Instead of saying but, just take out the but and say and then see what comes after the and. And that will focus us on this point of what I'm talking about. We don't want the excuses. We want to focus on our goals. And no matter how difficult it is, we want strategies to get around the difficulties, to go over them, under them, around them, through them, explode them, transcend them. Somehow or other, we want to go through because our desire is to be Krishna conscious. Just as you desire to achieve something material, and you do that, we should do the same thing for our Krishna consciousness and don't give in to all the weaknesses. It's not smart. It's not going to help us. And it's just not something we should be doing.